Bell rings, crowd roar, we lock in. DS walk, Jamie J, hit play. Let it begin. Yeah! Signatures and finishers, talk that rage. We break down legends move by move on the stage. From the lock to the slam to the pin, that's us. Welcome to the pod where you fight with us. DS breaking down that frame.
Welcome to the must-see wrestling podcast, the Central Finisher Podcast. I'm your host, DS Wall. Yes, I said must-see because we the best podcast in the business here. On the start up front, thank you very much. Before we continue, please like, subscribe, and share our show. We deeply appreciate it. Joining me today is EO Sky's #1 fan. Basically, explain to me why you're EO Sky's #1 fan. Hey, man.
True. I certainly am. And I will move to Tokyo in a heartbeat.
That was mentioned. That was mentioned.
Well, we'll see what they do with her now that she's completely directionless as most of the roster in WWE.
Right. So today's show, we're going to talk, wrestling news. Yesterday on SmackDown, we seen Royce Keys versus Gunther. Now, what we seen yesterday was Royce Keys came out and nobody didn't even give a damn about him. They knew who he was. They just didn't care. He didn't get a boo or cheer. He got nothing. And he still ended up losing to Gunther yesterday, which is expected.
Not just lost clean.
That too.
In the middle of the ring.
Can you say that WWE really just kind of really messed up this man's debut?
His debut was actually fine. I actually had a little hope when they had him come out at the Royal Rumble. They made him look pretty dominant. He got some eliminations. It looked good.
Since his WWE run, it has been terrible. Let's break this down, Jamie. So he went from debuting at the Royal Rumble. Then we didn't see him for about a month or two.
Like 2? Yeah.
We see him on Stephanie McMahon podcast where they made him into a sympathetic character. You made him look like a simp. You took a guy who was one of the strongest, one of the badassest guys in AEW, who was a former champion in AEW. You changed his name, which nobody ain't getting with. I mean, Powerhouse Hobbs sounds better than Royce Keys.
He picked the name Royce Keys.
I fought tooth and nails to keep my name Powerhouse Hobbs because it fits. Who you are, you're a powerhouse.
That and it at least has some recognition on top of it for people that may not watch wrestling on a weekly basis or even like a routine basis at all. At least there's a little name recognition there. I forgot, was it his kids or something? He named it like after the first names of his kids or something like that.
Yeah, his kids. Royce Keys sound like a character I seen on the old school movie Carl. Royce Keys sound like someone who would hang with Snoop Dogg.
I don't personally have a problem with the name Royce Keys. I mean, my favorite rapper is Royce the 5'9". So
and don't get me wrong, look, it's after his kids. That's fine, but it doesn't fit him.
Well, again,
he's not.
WWE wanting to create something that they control. That way, if you leave, you can't do anything with it. As I've said on the show before, everybody wanting to get into wrestling now, don't go to WWID. Don't go to any of that stuff. Start on an indie scene. Go to AEW. Go NWA. Go to any place with WWE. Build up a character. Make yourself valuable. Even Matt Cardona, as popular as Matt Cardona was, he had to fight like hell to be able to come back as Matt Cardona. Because they still wanted him to come back as Zack Ryder. Like, you have to build up your entire character before you go to WWE.
Yeah, and he's getting the Zack Ryder treatment.
Yeah, he's won, one match this year?
You call that a win?
I mean, by the rule book, yes, he technically won a match. But that would be my biggest suggestion to anybody looking to get into the wrestling business, because WWE is going to try and manufacture everything about you. If you come up through WWE and let's say you're there for a couple of years and you get released or you decide you want to go on to bigger and better, you're not going to be able to use any of that stuff to go build your character somewhere else. You're going to have to start all over unless you have something going for you like Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes had legacy. Randy Orton, that just happens to be his name, so he lucked out. If it's your name, they can't stop you, but they're going to do everything they can to get you to change your name. Liv Morgan, same exact reason why Liv Morgan doesn't wrestle by her actual name, which is a badass name, because they can't control it. I don't watch any of the Stephanie McMahon stuff, but I've seen the vignettes that they've done on like Raw and things like that, and everybody, for the most part, is going to tell you they had a hard childhood growing up. Whether they got bullied in school, picked on, whatever, grew up with no money, whatever it is, everybody can tell you they had a hard life growing up. Nobody cares. So, like, at WWE will say, well, we give him a big push. We just put him in with our two main eventers, Cody Rhodes and Gunther. And you had him lose clean in the middle of the ring. When you knew already he wasn't going to win the match. That's the biggest thing. You already knew he wasn't going to win. They've already had the promotional material out showing Gunther versus Cody Rhodes. That's the biggest flaw in professional wrestling. They have to advertise matches ahead of time to get people to buy. So you have a match knowing he's going to lose, and you still let him lose.
Gunther they signed a contract for the title match. He ain't signed a contract to be on SmackDown yet. He's still debating on that. I will be too. They buried Royce Keys ever since they re-debut him. You had this guy wrestle on Main Event for 2 months.
I don't know why more sports agents don't get into the professional wrestling business. Any sports agent would have looked at the landscape for Royce Keys, Powerhouse Hobbs, and said, this is where you are in AEW. This is what you could be in WWE. This is your ceiling in WWE. This is potentially your ceiling in AEW. If you want to go test the waters, sure, go test the waters in WWE. Chances are you'll be back in a year to 2 years in AEW. And that's realistically the way it's trending right now. Now, you would say this is your way too early speculation. I wouldn't be surprised if he's released in a year.
If you're telling your top talent and your mid card and your main event scene to take 50% pay cut,
I'm not even factoring that in. I'm just going from the creative part. Again, like we were talking about right before the show. Think of LA Knight. You had Royce Keys. I sent you the video. They didn't make a sound for that dude last night. That dude was sitting in the front row with clear as day audio. They didn't make a sound for him coming out. And the Royce Keys walked right past him. Nobody made a sound. And you got somebody like LA Knight that they just have to show him backstage and the whole arena pops.
Yep. But here's the problem with LA Knight. They don't like him.
I'm just saying LA Knight's just one example. You've got a whole roster basically full of people between the two shows that aren't being used right now. And you're pushing somebody like Royce Keys and they're going to say, well, he's our new talent. We got to push him, see where he can go, blah, blah, blah. The fans are already telling you they don't care. I'm sure if you looked at the streaming numbers of Stephanie's show, his show or his episode is probably the lowest one if I had to guess.
Man, I wouldn't know because I don't even watch her show. The thing with the talent is the fans really only want to see certain talent. They don't want to see everybody. So this is not a knock on Royce Keys or LA Knight.
No.
It's just that the fans want to see certain superstars. They want to see CM Punk. They want to see Rhea Ripley. They want to see Drew McIntyre. They want to see Cody. They want to see Jacob. I can count like 10 wrestlers that everybody want to see. Everybody else really don't matter.
That's because they don't give anybody a reason to need to be seen. Because you have storylines like, again, Trick Williams, as hot as it was last night for him, they are one segment away from screwing him up completely. They've already dropped the ball big time with that Gingerbread Man segment. So they don't have a whole lot left to give on him. I know it sounds like that's overly harsh because he's so over this and that. That turns real quick.
He's saying for the title. But then you decided to extend their feud for what? Because Sammy needs something to do?
They're trying way too hard with Danhausen right now. But again, that's all Danhausen is good for. He's a backstage segment guy because you don't want to see him in the ring.
He's seeing too much Danhausen.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're going to burn him out. People are going to get tired of seeing him. When you have a wrestler that doesn't wrestle or a wrestler that's getting all that screen time that isn't even good in the ring, people are going to get tired of it. At the end of the day, these guys are wrestlers. They're not comedians. They're not this. R-Truth has lasted as long as he has because he's still amazing in the ring. On top of his comedy, his sense of timing, his everything is just perfect. He's the funniest guy that WWE has ever had. Santino Marella would probably be second. Bobby Heenan would probably be third. It's the Apple mentality. If you get the little 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds now to love him, they're going to grow up as wrestling fans. Now you've got them for another 30, 40 years. How long have you been watching wrestling?
Can tell you.
I've been watching wrestling since I was like 2. I'm 42. Again, what did I grow up with? Hulk Hogan.
And Macho Man Randy Savage.
I mean, Macho Man was a little more teenager adult. I loved him just because he was crazy. But, when the Coke hits you, wild shit comes out of your mouth. So
yeah.
That was the whole 80s. And that's why those guys, go back and watch those promos. None of them made any sense from like any of them. It was super entertaining. Especially go back and watch old Ultimate Warrior. That dude would say so many words and not say actual complete sentence ever.
It was entertaining.
Certainly was. You mix steroids and Coke, that's what you get.
The only guy who I can sit here and say who entertains me on their promo is The Miz, but we'll talk about him on Tuesday. Cause our next story is CM Punk has been removed from most of the European tour, but he is advertised for to be in London on the June 22nd episode. According to Dave Meltzer, you take it with a grain of salt. He said the reason Punk was pulled from the majority of the tour was down to a scheduling change. Punk is still listed as a featured superstar for the June 22nd episode of WWE Raw, which take place in London, England, and would act as the go-home show before the Night of Champions Premium Live event, but that is still subject to change considering that the two official websites still has Punk listed as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of these contracts. I think a lot of these guys are calling their own shot. You want me to take a pay cut? I ain't going to Europe. I ain't dealing with all that. Notice how it all lines up with all those pay cuts and asking people to take a lot less money. Now you're seeing Roman's not going over there. CM Punk's not going over there. No, none of those guys want to have to travel internationally, especially on the WE schedule. It's one thing if you're saying like, hey, I'm an indie wrestler. I'm going to go wrestle in Japan for 6 months and you stay over there. No, they cram all this stuff into like 2 weeks. They do like 12, 13 shows in like 2 weeks time, and then they have to fly back. Nobody wants to deal with that. So yeah, if I was CM Punk or Roman Reigns, you want to cut my pay? Fine. I'm not doing all these extra dates now. I mean, I know they got him listed for the Chicago show, and then they said he's back to normal in August. But
this is also from Dave Meltzer. Another story. Dave Meltzer broke the news that Danhausen experimental of cloning himself at WWE Backlash wasn't his original idea. Hausen. In fact, the same scientific practice was used and showcased by the independent wrestler, the Good Doctor Ethan Wilde, who fictionlessly cloned himself to gain a tag team partner on a show in Philadelphia called Labor of Love. The only difference between Wilde and Danhausen concept was that Wilde's experiment led to his identical brother stepping through the clone machine, whereas the very nice, very evil star brought back his army of Minihausen since WrestleMania 42. As Meltzer pointed out, the look of the cloning box, the scientific creation, the smoke, and the portions were all similar. A video of Wilde's exhibition can be seen on Instagram. So basically, WWE is stealing ideas from.
Well, the whole Roman Reigns OTC theme song gesture entrance, they're still being sued for that because they ripped off that independent company all the way down to the music for the whole bloodline thing. So they're going to lose their ass on that too.
Yeah, the WWE, they're just stealing ideas from everybody. That's a shame.
The problem is when you start using AI, only learns. So what does it learn from? Information that's out there. So when you type something in like that, it's going to start pulling examples and references and things like that from other sources and try and collaborate it all into one thing. That's not what happened with the bloodline stuff. They just flat out ripped those guys off. But like storylines and stuff like that, that's how that stuff comes about. I mean, who wants to see a bunch of midget wrestlers? It's one thing if you go to a midget wrestling event, but like if you're going and paying to go see Backlash, are you really paying and you want to see a mystery tag team partner? You're expecting a return. You're expecting, like they were saying it was going to be Jelly Roll up to the last minute when they couldn't get Jelly Roll. And then all of a sudden this little mini guy comes out like, come on. That's something you do for Raw or SmackDown.
Or house show.
Yeah. Well, maybe, you know, if you wanted to train your wrestlers and keep them, you know, up to date on their skills, maybe.
Yeah. Before we get to the next story, ladies and gentlemen, wrestling needs to be saved, and we found our savior for professional wrestling. Change the game, elevate the story. Jamie, for head writer and booker. Storytelling meets impact. New era storytelling, fans first booking, main event level creativity. Put Jamie in charge. Let's let the story matter again.
I promise you it would be a benefit to everybody. I did not make this. I had no part of making this, but since I have to talk about it, I'll talk about it. There'd be a lot of extra talent floating out there for other companies to sign for their own benefit because there's just not enough time. WWE has too much talent that they're just sitting on because they're too scared to let them go to AEW, to go to NWA, to go to TNA, to go to MLW. So you'd have much better storylines. You wouldn't have to deal with things like Danhausen. You would get Danhausen, but not in the whole way that they're using. The dude would just never wrestle because nobody wants to see that. Stick to your backstage segments.
And remember, professional wrestling deserves compelling stories, unforgettable moments, and directions that keep fans invested week after week. Compelling. Jamie brings, number 1, creative long-term storytelling. Number 2, character-driven booking. 3, fresh rivalries that feel real. And number 4, and this is the big one, ladies and gentlemen, big match energy with consistent payoff. So if you need a booker, a head writer, you need a leader in the locker room, you need a leader in your company, change the game, elevate the story, hire James.
Well, thank you for that.
I promote this. Okay. I support this.
I support it too, because why not? I love that we got my mortgage broker picture in there.
It's okay. It's all right. Let's go to AEW.
Oh boy.
Athena wins the first ever women's Ring of Honor Survival of the Fittest match extends her title reign. If you haven't seen it, ladies and gentlemen, she survived 5 opponents being chokeslammed through a pile of stack of chairs among other weapons, and yet Athena stood tall and proved that she is literally the survival of the fittest in the main event of Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor pay-per-view event this past Friday. For the first time in company history, Ring of Honor announced that it will host its first ever women's survival of the fittest multi-person elimination style match. The caveat was that Athena would not only participate in it, but she would have to put her Ring of Honor Women's World Championship on the line. The forever champion Monkier will hold true after she was able to retain her title. After hitting a super duper old face on World Off the Ladder and onto My World. Jamie, can we sit here and say that Athena is the best female wrestler in AEW, even though she's on Ring of Honor?
Currently, yes.
Currently, yes. So I got another question. If she is the best female wrestler in AEW, why is she on Ring of Honor if she is the best female wrestler in AEW?
I don't have a good answer for that. I haven't had a good answer for that because when you look at some of the women that are in the women's division on AEW, I wouldn't put them on TV. And Willow Nightingale, they love pushing her. Athena's way better than Willow Nightingale.
Yes, she is. Now look, Mercedes Monet is coming back. We just don't know when. They haven't said when she'll be returned to ring action. Athena has a title reign that's so long that she's come up on Roman Reigns type days coming up here.
It's not far off.
Not far off whatsoever.
Honestly, he needs to just fold Ring of Honor. I mean, it's half of it's just AEW talent going over there to wrestle matches anyway. Bring their titles and just merge them, especially because your women's division is so bad. You don't have Mercedes right now. You don't have Toni Storm. Have Athena come over, wrestle the current AEW women's champ, merge the titles, done.
I appreciate that Tony Khan saved Ring of Honor. What I don't appreciate is how's he running Ring of Honor. I don't think Ring of Honor needs to be folded. I think Ring of Honor needs to be sold to somebody else who has a different vision for Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has been a staple of professional wrestling for 20 plus years until
he's not going to sell it. He bought it because he wants the catalog. And that's why I'm saying it needs to be folded. AEW needs to come out with, their own video library of their content and Ring of Honor stuff. Put it up there for $8 a month or something like that people can go back and watch good Ring of Honor 20 years ago, when Ring of Honor was one of the best promotions in the world. People can watch early Seth Rollins, early Daniel Bryan, guys like that when they were actually in their super prime. But that's the only reason he bought Ring of Honor, was to get access to the library of content that there is, not because he wanted to do anything with the promotion. He needs to just fold all that into AEW, merge the titles, call it a wrap.
But he still needs to sell Ring of Honor to somebody else who has a vision for it. Sell it to me. I have a vision for Ring of Honor. My vision Ring of Honor don't be like you. I'm serious, man.
Well, yeah, but he's also not going to sell it cheap. Well, he's not going to sell it, period. But
he should sell it because you're not doing anything with it. Your best women's champion, your best women's wrestler is in Ring of Honor. If you want the library, you can have the library. You want the catalog, you have the catalog. Just let it go. Sell it to someone who could do something with it. Keep all the titles, merge the titles like you said, and call it a day.
The thing that bothers me. The thing that bothers me with AEW is, like, right now is the time they should be striking. I will say their matches have gotten better. The storylines have gotten slightly better. Why haven't you hired a head of creative for both companies? Like, he's serving as the head of creative and booking for both companies. That makes no sense whatsoever. Not to mention, he's still tied up in the Jaguar stuff with his dad and all that kind of stuff. You clearly don't have enough time in the day to be effective. You should be dumping as much money as you can, because this is your time to strike. WWE, this is the weakest WWE's been since the Monday Night Wars. That's like factual. Like, you have an opportunity right now to actually gain market share. You should be hiring people that know how to write and how to book.
They should be hiring people. He should be hiring people to do everything that he can't not do because he got so many on his plate. The only thing he needs to be is the final boss.
The knock on him has always been that he operates at like his dream fantasy, and he does. But if you really want to grow this thing, you want to get a TV deal, because when that Paramount thing happens, they're probably going to cut all your programming once your contract is up. So you need to be making a mark. You need to be making a mark right now. WWE's weak. You could be growing your numbers substantially, bring in quality people that know how to do the job.
100%. I think Paramount was going to breach the contract, going to cut them regardless. Going to cut them.
I'm pretty sure they probably will. That's why they need to do striking now, so that they can have a TV deal lined up.
Yes, they had a relationship with YouTube. That YouTube aired their AEW Dark.
Well, let me give you an example. AEW as a company is growing. All in last year, they sold like 8,000 tickets for, where was it, Glendale or whatever?
Yes.
They're over 17,000 right now for All In sold. That's 70% growth.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end on the show. Catch me and Jamie on Tuesday. We're going to have a lot more to talk about.
And let me correct my math. It's close to like 100% growth, but you got to factor in free tickets, things like that. It comes out to like 70% growth. But
make sure you like, subscribe, share the show. Enjoy your weekend. Peace. See you on Tuesday.
Bell rings, crowd roar, we lock in. DS walk, Jamie J, hit play. Let it begin. Silent chosen finishers, talk that rage. We break down legends, move by move on the stage. From the lock to the slam to the pin, that's us. Welcome to the pod where you fight with us. DS breaking down that frame. Jamie with the joke, still sharp with the name. From the indie halls to the